Good day, sir. My name is Leonisa A. Castellano, and I am tasked to report about Freud's stages of psychosexual development. So first of all, there are 5 phases of psychosexual development based on Freud's theory. So these are oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital. So the first 2 phases were already reported. So I am going to report now the third, the fourth, and the fifth, which is the phallic phase, the latent phase, and the genital phase. So here now we have the phallic stage, or the third stage of Freud's um, psychosexual development. So it is stated that during the phallic stage, the primary focus of the libido is on the genitals. At this age, children also begin to discover the differences between males and females. So in other words, the focus or their sexual desire in this stage were all about the private parts or the genitals. And also, children at this stage are now well aware of the two sexes, which is the male and the female. Freud also believed that boys begin to view their father as a rival for the mother's affection. So this is called the Oedipus complex. Describe these feelings of wanting to possess the mother and the desire to replace the father. However, the child also fears that he will be punished by the father for these feelings, a fear Freud termed castration anxiety. So this is what Freud termed castration anxiety. So this Oedipus complex means a desire for sexual involvement with the parent of the opposite sex. So meaning, example of this is boys are more attached to their mother instead of their father, while girls are more attached to their father instead of their mothers. Like the children are not attached to the same sex of their parents, instead to the other sex. So meaning the boys are into their mom and the girls are into their father. So meaning the meaning of this is Oedipus complex. The latent period, or the fourth psychosexual development by Freud. So it states that during this stage, the superego continues to develop while the ID's energies are suppressed. Children develop social skills, values, and relationships with peers and adults outside of the family. So meaning the superego are more developing in this age. So meaning more conscious of what we are doing, we are trying to think the moral attitude we should possess. So we are in this process of thinking the right thing in this latent period. The latent period is a time of exploration in which the sexual energy repressed or dormant. This energy is still present, but it is sublimated into other areas such as intellectual pursuits and social interactions. So meaning, this stage is important in the development of social and communication skills and self-confidence. Example of this is when a children enter into school and become more concerned with peer relationships and hobbies and other interests. So meaning in this kind of stage, children repress sexual interest and develop social and intellectual skills. So as this period is ranging from 6 to puberty, we are more knowledgeable about the social skills and more on developing our social interest. And also, this stage is dormant sexual feelings or the identification process. So meaning, when we are on this stage, we are developing more into our sexual relationships, especially others, socially, and also we are being all aware of the happenings of the same sex or the other sex of our gender. So moreover, in the latent period, children spend more time and interact mostly with same-sex peers. So what I have said, we are more knowledgeable and we are more well aware of the same sex. So meaning in this period, children are more into their same sex because they can relate to them. We are we are building a social interaction with the same sex peers. So this is like the happenings of this period. So we are now at the last stage of psychosexual development by Freud. So we are on the fifth stage, which is the genital stage, the puberty to death. So during the final stage of psychosexual development, the individual develops a strong sexual interest in the opposite sex. This stage begins during puberty but lasts throughout the rest of a person's life. So in this genital stage, it is more on like having sexual desires to the opposite sex. A time of sexual reawakening, source of sexual pleasure becomes someone outside of the family. So being sexually attached to someone, especially your friends or your lovers or your partners. This means that unlike the many of the earlier stages of development, Freud believed that the ego and superego were fully formed and functioning at this point. So we are all aware of the happenings, especially in our mind, in our sexual desire, or anything in ourselves. Where in earlier stage, the focus was solely on individual needs. Interest in the welfare of others grows during this stage. The goal of this stage is to establish a balance between the various life areas. So we are all know we have these various life areas of ourselves. So the goal of this stage is to establish a balance. When we say balance, means it is the equal stages of or the various life areas that we need to accomplish in ourselves. Example of these are individual are attached to opposite sex peers. So meaning this is more on the sexual desires of one another, especially to the opposite sex. Because as we grow on, we are more curious about these things, and thus these are the things that could satisfy, especially our needs as a person. So those are the 5 phases of psychosexual development based on Freud's theory. These 5 phases were oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital. We should all be aware of this because these are the development that are from our childhood to puberty that mold us to what we are now. So that's all for the 5 phases of psychosexual development. Thank you and God bless.